Before she gave birth to a monster, she fell in love with a revolutionary. Welcome to Legends of Love, where history's most passionate romances come alive. Today we unveil a story wrapped in poetry, scandal, genius and tragedy. The tale of Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin and Percy Bysshe Shelley. Theirs was a love that defied Victorian convention. A love that birthed a literary masterpiece and left an indelible mark on the world. London, 1814. Mary was just 16 years old, the daughter of two radical thinkers. Her mother, Mary Wollstonecraft, had written A Vindication of the Rights of Woman and died shortly after childbirth. Her father, William Godwin, was a celebrated philosopher who advocated for reason, atheism and free love. Mary grew up in an environment steeped in revolutionary ideas, surrounded by books and bold thinkers. Her intellect was sharp, her spirit fiercely independent. Into this world stepped Percy Bysshe Shelley, a 21-year-old poet, already infamous for his atheism and expulsion from Oxford, and already married to Harriet Westbrook, with whom he had a child. But Percy's beliefs aligned with those of Mary's father, and when he became a frequent visitor to the Godwin household, he and Mary were quickly drawn to each other. They would meet secretly among the gravestones of St Pancras churchyard, where Mary's mother was buried, a place she visited often, searching for a sense of connection with the woman she had never known. It was there, amidst crumbling stones and poetic whispers, that their love deepened. The two of them shared a love of the mind. Soul meets soul on lovers' lips, Shelley would write. But physical desire swept them away too, and their relationship was consummated near the grave of Mary's mother. It was as if Mary's past and future met in that one unforgettable moment. But this was no simple love story. In July 1814, Mary and Percy, accompanied by her stepsister Claire Clairmont, eloped to France, leaving behind scandal, debt and furious families. Mary's father, William Godwin, who had once written in favour of free love, disowned her. Percy, whose financial situation was precarious, had borrowed money to escape. The trio embarked on a romantic but chaotic journey through France and Switzerland, often penniless and relying on borrowed funds. Their travels were full of idealistic conversations, shared writing and passionate dreams, but also hardship. They returned to England just 2 months later, broke and pregnant. Mary gave birth to a premature daughter in 1815. The baby died just days later, and Mary recorded in her journal, "I dreamt that my little baby came to life again, that it had only been cold, and that we rubbed it by the fire and it lived." Grief became a frequent visitor in Mary's life. In the years that followed, she lost her half-sister Fanny Imlay to suicide. Then came the devastating news that Harriet Shelley, Percy's wife, had also taken her own life, pregnant and abandoned. Only after Harriet's death in December 1816 were Percy and Mary free to marry. Mary was 18, Percy 24. They married quietly at St Mildred's Church in London. The aim was partly to regain the approval of Mary's father and partly to legitimise their surviving child, William, known as Wilmouse. But their love was not just personal, it was profoundly creative. In 1816 they travelled once again to Switzerland, staying near Lord Byron at the now famous Villa Diodati. Claire Clairmont had pursued Byron and was pregnant with his child, adding yet more intrigue to the group's dynamic. During one stormy evening, Byron proposed a ghost story challenge. From that night, a legend was born. Mary, inspired by a waking dream and conversations about science, life and death, conceived the idea for Frankenstein, a story that would forever change literature. She was only 18 when she began writing it. Many consider this the first true work of science fiction. Yet beneath the genius lay continued sorrow. Mary lost 3 of her 4 children, all before the age of 3. Only Percy Florence Shelley, their youngest, survived to adulthood. And while Percy adored Mary, his affections often wandered. He had radical views on open relationships and encouraged Mary to accept his interest in other women, including her stepsister Claire. Despite these challenges, they shared a deep intellectual partnership. Percy often edited and praised Mary's work, and she in turn supported his radical poetry and helped preserve his legacy. Then, in 1822, tragedy struck one final blow. Percy, sailing on the Gulf of La Spezia in Italy, drowned when his boat Ariel capsized in a storm. He was just 29. When his body washed ashore, he was cremated on the beach, a practice unusual in England but common in Italy. Mary, devastated, kept what remained of him, his heart unburnt and calcified, wrapped in a silk shroud. It remained with her for the rest of her life. Mary never remarried. She dedicated herself to raising her son and preserving Percy's writings, editing his poems and defending his name. She continued writing, including The Last Man, a prophetic novel about plague and isolation, and remained an active intellectual until her death at 53. Today, we remember her for Frankenstein. But behind that creation was a young woman who loved deeply, suffered greatly, and dared to live freely in a world that condemned her for it. Was it a tragic love, a toxic one, madness, rebellion, or simply the kind of love that burns too brightly to last? Some say Mary was a victim of Percy's ideals and exploited, always in Percy's shadow. Others say she was his equal, the woman who gave him the courage to live boldly, perhaps even greater. But what's certain is this: their love burned through the boundaries of society, of morality, and even of life itself. A love born among the dead, a love that birthed a monster, and a legacy that still breathes. From the flames of scandal and sorrow, Mary Shelley rose to create something eternal, not just in Frankenstein, but in the story of her life and her love. If you believe love can be wild and complicated, poetic and painful, if you believe in stories that shape history, then Legends of Love is for you. Subscribe to Legends of Love for more stories of history's wildest, boldest and most unforgettable romances. Because love, real love, is never simple, it's legendary.